Hey everybody, it's Lainey, and I am here today to share another live event with anybody who wants to come. You are all invited. You've already joined the Art of Parenting Well, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. And I want to talk about something that comes up a lot for parents when they contact me. I get comments from people every day telling me what their parenting challenges are, and I use those to really stay in touch and have my finger on the pulse of what is going on for parents and causing them such grief day in and day out. I am here to help parents move out of this place of overwhelmed and move into a place of being overjoyed with their parenting. From where I sit, and my belief is that life is just too short and parenthood is just too short, and our children's childhood is just too short for it to suck. Bottom line. So I am invested fully in helping people move out of the painful patterns that they're stuck in and moving into beautiful new habits, picking up beautiful new tools, and creating gorgeous new connections with their children that yield great behavior from their kids along the way. Nobody wants to be stuck in a family situation, with kids who aren't listening, where you're not getting respected, where you're yelling or repeating yourself the thousand times to be heard. Nobody wants that. I know you don't want that for your kids. It's not why you signed up to be a parent. Nobody signed the dotted line saying, I want to be a parent because I want to yell all the time, or I want to be disrespected. Or in this case, what I'm about to talk about today with you about is I wanted to be a parent because I always wanted to have somebody who was constantly demanding my attention, especially when I was trying to do something with somebody else or, God forbid, for myself. I always wanted to be in a situation where I was in a bathroom, by myself, and a little person came running in demanding that I, make them a meal or fix them a snack or what else do kids do when we're in the bathroom? You guys feel free to chip in and help me here. I'm trying to wash the dishes and my child is clinging to my leg, demanding that I play Candyland. And if I play Candyland one more time, I'm gonna just, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go insane. Or I'm trying to have a phone call with my own friend or my mother, or I'm trying to text with a friend to meet up with them later because I finally have a night out, and my child is literally grabbing my phone out of my hand or putting their hand over my. Does anybody have a kid who one of your children puts their hand over your mouth as you're talking to other people, or over your eyes as you're looking at something, right? These are the things that as parents we deal with day in and day out. And until and unless you're a parent, you do not know what it feels like. And if somebody told you beforehand, oh, your children at some point are going to really, really be demanding your attention, you'd be like, yeah, I know, okay, that's cool, that's cute, whatever. But you have never been in this level of demand. And if you're experiencing anything like I do, still, I have two kids, and certainly when they were younger, it was as the mom in the family, or if you're the dad, but you're the other mom, or whatever your family situation is, but you're the person who stays home. You're the person who magically has all the ability to handle everything, even if there's another adult who is there and perfectly capable of helping your children, whether that's your partner, a grandparent, a relative, a friend, or a babysitter. Even if there are other capable adults around, the kids glom to you. They like a moth to the flame. Can you help me tie my shoe? Can you help me with this? I've got a, dirty diaper, a poopy, or potty time. It's like, I'm not the only adult here. There are plenty of other adults now, and maybe not. Maybe that's not your story. Maybe you actually are the only one there, and that's not only fine. You have my utmost respect for that situation, but the bottom line is that the more that we oftentimes goes that the more often we try to step away from our kids, the more often they come to us with their demands. Give me a thumbs up if anybody has ever experienced that. And if that's the case, if that is actually frustrating for you too. It's something that I hear from parents every day. Just go ahead and write in the chat box or give me a thumbs up as I'm talking if what I'm saying resonates with you. The frustration that parents feel is on two levels. One, it's that, can I really not have any headspace at all to myself while my kids are awake? There's that frustration of just being in constant demand. And if you have a challenging child too, is especially intense. If you have a challenging child, what I mean by challenging child is a child whose temperament, behavior, or moods make parenting harder than usual. And if you have a challenging kid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got the child who maybe can play, a lovely child, you know, smart as can be, all these lovely things, nothing wrong with the child. You love them as much as you could, right? And what's also true about this challenging child is that the child is maybe speaking all of his or her thoughts all the time and is demanding your attention on some level all the time. So you're sitting there maybe trying to write an email, or maybe you're trying to just have a cup of coffee, or you're trying to text something to a friend. And this child is sitting there maybe possibly engaged with some Play-Doh, right? Maybe. And this child is doing something like, oh, well, I have the blue out and then I need the red out, but now the red and the blue are mixed together. And mommy, do you see how I'm making the red and the blue together? Mommy, look, mommy, 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 look, or daddy, 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 look, right? And now they've mixed together and I can't unmix them, but I'm trying to unmix them, and they're speaking all of their thoughts constantly. And so you don't want to be rude and you don't want to be a mean parent. So you're like trying to focus here, but you're, yes, sweetie. Yes, sweetie. Yes, sweetie. Like just verbally. There's the verbal demanding child. Okay. That's one. If you've got one of those, give me a thumbs up. And that's a verbal processor, by the way, if you have never heard a term for that. And then there's the child who is physically demanding. The child, and they can be both, right? The child can be both verbal and physically demanding, but I'm describing them separately now for a reason. So, so the physically demanding child is the child who is clingy. If you find yourself hearing the word, oh, she's so clingy, or you say that about your own, she's very clingy. That's the demanding physical child. The child who, no matter where you are, that child wants to be on you. That child wants to be touching you, maybe touching your hair. If you're still nursing this child is like, can't be close enough to you. You're sitting on the couch, that child has to be on you. They cry when you put them into their car seat because they don't want to be separated from you. Hi, Monica. Hi, April. So nice to have you guys here. So, yay. All the way from Costa Rica too. I'm so delighted to have you here. So if you have a physically demanding child, this can really weigh on a parent as well. It's like you feel like you don't have your body to yourself, right? And I know for people like, hi TJ. Yes, it goes back to being a nursing infant, and she's 4. Yes, totally. So, and I know like Monica is one of these people who just has such a love of life and can laugh and be like, yes, it was so funny when they were on me all the time. And I know you also, you know, could have some frustration there too, but not all of us feel that way. We don't find it funny or amusing or cute in the morning. We can find it really irritating. Why? Especially because we are tired, or our self-care is probably off. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say self-care, hang in here. You're in the right place, because I'm going to talk to you about that. And we are just kind of done sometimes with having people touch us without our consent, right? A physically demanding child is also a child who, when they're not getting that physical need met, and their whole of emotional need, it's like their well feels bottomless. That hole feels endless. You know, it's like the hole to the other end of the earth. Their need for physical connection feels endless. And when we ourselves are feeling depleted, we get irritated. Does that resonate with anybody who's listening to this? So what happens then typically is that we get irritated if we're in that state. We feel guilty for being irritated because we're like, it's just my kid and all they want is to be on me. But at the same time, I don't want them to be on me, or I don't want to talk to them all the time. I don't want this constant demand of my attention. I need some space. Please, somebody give me some space. And we become desperate for it. We maybe lock ourselves in the bathroom, right? We take a little extra time in the shower if we can, but they learn how to open the doors and come on in, and when we're in the shower also, right? If you have one or both of this kind of child, or a child who is both of these things. Maybe you have one child who's physically demanding, one child who's verbally demanding, attention demanding, and then you've got combinations thereof. So we get irritated. Then, too frequently, parents snap at their kids from that state. Why can't you just go and play with your friend? Why can't you just leave me alone? Why do you have to be on me all the time? And then, of course, the guilt sets in there too. I can't believe I just yelled at my kid again. I said I wouldn't yell at my kid again, right? And you end up going through this cycle again and again and again. And it's like on a freaking broken record track of like, this is what we do. And the sad thing for me that I hear from parents is they'll say to me, is this just how it is? Is this just how it's going to be for the next, tell me when it's going to stop. Is it going to be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What is this going to be like? Is this my life? Did I accidentally sign up for something that if I'm truly honest, I don't really like this part of it. Not that I don't love my kid. I don't want this part of it, right? Can I pick and choose in parenting? Oh, sure. That'd be nice, right? No, you can't. It's a full deal, all in game that we're playing as parents. And no matter what anybody told you or didn't tell you, or what you saw or didn't see before you yourself became a parent, there was no way that you could have been prepared for what you have in front of you now, which is your own child who has his or her own temperament, own strengths, own challenges, and pushes your buttons and triggers you in precisely that child's way. Not because they're being manipulative or awful or a monster or a nightmare child or whatever people call their kids when they're being triggered themselves. It's because they're just being. And our kids are, these are just the laws of parenthood as I see them. Our kids are delivered to us to absolutely give us the opportunity to grow. And they do that by triggering all these things in us. I worked for years with children before having my own kids, years. And I would get frustrated, I'd get kind of upset, whatever. But I would never get triggered by them. They didn't trigger me. They didn't activate this deep thing in me where I was just like, and I would say things that I didn't ever intend to say. And they never did that to me. That didn't happen until I became a mom myself. And I started getting triggered. So when I hear teachers, I was so, what's the word I'm looking for? I had a lot of bravado, I think, going into parenthood because I'd worked with kids for so many years. I was like, I got this. Like parenting, please. I've dealt with like kids for years. I know kids. I didn't know my kids. And I didn't know what my kids were going to bring up for me. That's the power of being a parent. That is the power of being a parent. And parenthood is this unique setup, right? Whether you believe it was divinely created or you feel like it's just karma or you feel like it's just random, however you and your kids came together to be, I don't care how you believe it came to be. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you are here with this being, and this being and you are partnered, and it's a match. And it can feel like a match made in heaven or it can feel like a match made in hell, and it's up to you how you frame it. But what happens when parents are stuck in this mindset of, oh my gosh, this is hell. This is just like I did not sign up for this and I have no freedom. I have no space. And yes, Monica, when you don't sleep well, you get irritated easily. Of course, thumbs up, of course. Who else can relate to that, to what Monica said? Sleep is key to being calm and to being our best selves. And if you don't know how to get the sleep that you need, that's something we can certainly talk about. And it's something you need to figure out, because an unrested person, whether it's you or your child or both, is a recipe for irritation and parenting disaster, really. You're going to be very, very reactive rather than being able to respond, because it's going to be your activated, stressed out self, which is not your best self, in the driver's seat. And we don't want that person in the driver's seat. We want your best self in the driver's seat as often as possible. So, okay, so when parents contact me and they're stuck in this cycle of, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? I can't believe this. I get no space. I get no headspace, whatever. And I hear that. I also know that what they've done, because they tell me, what they've done is they've gone and they've looked for answers, right? So they look to like other parenting groups, or they go to blogs or articles or whatever, and they go and they search it up. And the number one thing, you guys can tell me, what is the number one thing that you will find that you are told to do when your child is demanding your attention and you're just kind of over it? And I will wait for a moment. I'm going to take a sip of water while I wait, because I know you know this answer. What does everybody say to do with behavior that you don't want to encourage? They tell you, come on. I know there's a little bit of a time delay in my talking and you typing. I'm trying to be patient, but the dead air is really tough for me to stomach sometimes, to be honest. So the answer, and I'm sure it's going to pop up, is they tell you to ignore it. Ignore your child's demand for the attention, whether it's the physical or it's the verbal, right? Am I right? Is that the number one thing that you find? There may be a couple of other things in there. Maybe some people will say, address them and then turn away, go back to what you were doing, right? Like brief attention, and then like don't feed the need for attention is what they're saying. And what I am here to tell you is that that is total and utter BS, 100%. And all you have to do to understand why that's BS, why that is BS advice, is to think about when you have tried that with your child, what happens? What happens is the demand gets more intense. And it's not surprising why. Think about it. If you put yourself into your child's shoes for just a moment and you are seeking the attention of somebody and they're just not giving it to you, aren't you going to try to get their attention another way? Aren't you going to try to get creative? Parenting experts will call that manipulative. I call it creative. They're going to get creative about how to get your attention because they have a need. They really have a need that is not being filled. Now, how you are able to address that or give it and what your limits are is a whole different story. I'm just talking about your child's need. And the common language that is used around kids who have a real need for this level of connection are called demanding. What else are they called? They're called clingy. They're called annoying sometimes. They're called too much. And those are all messages that directly and indirectly the child receives. And this is, I want you to know, this is not something that the child is doing on purpose. This is just how the child is being. This is part of how your child is. And again, how to deal with it is something else entirely. I'm just talking about what the common conversation is around dealing with a child who is exhibiting this level of need. The common conversation is ignore it, it will go away. Well, I'm here to tell you it will not go away. You can extinguish a behavior. You can extinguish your child maybe grabbing your arm, right? Maybe even by ignoring. But what does that do to somebody when they're ignored over time? It tells them they're not worth it. It gives them the message that they're not worthy of attention. So they should give up, that it's just not working. But them giving it up doesn't, you can extinguish a behavior, but you do not extinguish the need below it. And the need below it is connection. And the more you can open up to that idea that what they're actually after is connection, and that some people have a deeper need for it than others, the more you can adjust how you interact with this particular child and how to effectively set boundaries with this child around what your limitations are, what your boundaries are. Can this child come up to you all the time, grabbing your arm, grabbing your coat, grabbing your your bra. No, none of that should be acceptable, right? If you don't want it to be, I'll put it that way. If you don't want it to be, whatever your boundaries are, you may not even know what your boundaries are. Your boundaries may have been trod over, squashed over, ignored for so many years at this point, or so many months at this point. You don't even know where your boundaries are. And it's fuzzy because little kids and their parents, the parent who's with them primarily, their primary parent, they're kind of mushed together in the child's experience and in their heart and in their mind's understanding of what the deal is. It's why there's a lot of the bonding that happens is also very deeply connecting with parents when babies are very young. It's very important. But the experience becomes, oh, that she's mine for the taking. And how do we unravel ourselves from that role with our children in a way that makes them feel like their self-worth is intact, that their dignity is intact, that we love them unconditionally, and that we are establishing deep connection with them even as we are establishing some space and some boundaries. That's the key. And it's a very hard thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. There are some, it's simple, like set boundaries, right, is the first step. Know what your own boundaries are, I guess is really the first step. Know what your own boundaries are. Set boundaries. Hold your boundaries. And then engage with connection and understanding of how to get your child's needs met. 4 steps right there, right? Acknowledge what your boundaries are, set the boundaries, understand what your child's needs are, and get your child's needs met in a way that is going to work for that child. It's not hard in that way. It's a simple process. And it takes some work to get there, and it definitely takes training to get there. So if this is, if this is something that you're interested in learning how to do, this is something that I teach, you're welcome to book a call. I'll put the link here as always. You're welcome to have a conversation with me about this very thing and learn how to do it. It's not something in the scope of an event like this that I can really get into the how to do it, but it is stuff that I teach every single day to people, and it is learnable. And that's the big thing I want you to take away from today, is that parenting and all of the complexities of it are all learnable skills. So if you're somebody who is thinking to yourself, or you tell yourself, well, I'm just, I'm a good parent, but I'm not that good, and I guess I just wasn't born that good of a parent, I want to tell you you're wrong, because the framing of that is off. The framing of that is assuming that everybody is born one way or another as far as parenting goes. And the only thing that's true is that we're only, the parenting that we give our own children can only be as good as the parenting we received. We have no way to do it differently unless we learn to do it differently. That's just the truth. That's like anything. It's like if you were trying to teach somebody how to play baseball or tennis or how to cook. Could you cook? Could you teach somebody how to cook better than how you cook? No. Could you teach somebody how to swing a baseball bat better than how you do it by showing them how to do it? No, because your swing is only as good as your swing is. That's skill-based stuff. Could you teach somebody to sing better than how you know how to sing by showing them how you sing? No, not by demonstrating it. And parenting is a demonstrative or demonstrative kind of a sport. Do as I do, right? It can't be do as I say. I suppose if you are a voice coach, you could have somebody, or a voice teacher, somebody could show up who has a better voice than you, and you could teach them things that you're not able to accomplish by talking to them about it. But the best teachers are the people who can demonstrate it. You know that, right? Like, watch what I do what I do. And parenting is all about that. It is a demonstrative, learned sport or skill set. So if that's something that you want to learn how to do, then that's definitely something that I'm teaching people every day. Hi, Arnie, nice to have you here. This is what I teach people to do every day. Clients in my program are transforming from being this kind of overwhelmed, overwrought, parenting mindset of having, kids who are just tromping all over their boundaries and they're really demanding, to shifting and feeling like, okay, I can handle this. I know how to set boundaries and I can engage with them in a healthy way. That's what I got for you. So if this sounds good, I'd love for you guys to book a call. I'm going to put the link in right here for your ease of use. It's parentingparachute.com/call. And I would be honored to hop on the phone with anybody who wants to book a call with me after hearing this. And we'll talk about what's going on in your parenting. I just want to hear what's going on and how I can help you, and see if we'd be a right fit to work together, if that's a desire of yours, and if you're somebody who I can actually help feel better in your parenting, then I will tell you that. And if you're somebody who I really can't help, then I will steer you in another direction so that you're not left empty-handed. But there are no strings attached. There's no obligation or anything. It's a free call with me or one of my team members. And it's goes about 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending. And it's really, it's my honor to offer it to you. It's going to be the best conversation you've had about parenting probably ever. And I want you to get the feeling of what it feels like to really have somebody who's in your corner, because gosh, we all know what it feels like to be judged with our parenting and to have people who are not in our corner. And I just want to give you the experience of feeling what it's like to have somebody who's actually in your corner and wants the best for you and your family. So that's me. I hope that today was helpful, and I will see you next time. All right, be well.